I never gamble with my money. Only with my life. Okay, Brendan Fraser. All right, I see you. So we're covering... Oh, this is The Swamp. It's our podcast. We're talking about movies, and this week we're talking about the movie, The Mummy, but also, I'm backtracking here, our podcast is an acronym.
Stands for some whack-ass movie podcasting.
Wow, that was really out of order. But thank you for listening and joining us for our last installment of our Pride Month series, where we covered queer sexual awakening movies. And although this was the first time both of us had seen this movie, I think it is just, like, culturally known as being the bi movie.
Yeah.
Like, every bi person is obsessed with The Mummy, and we got a fair amount of people writing in being like, The Mummy. And so it felt right to wrap it up. And also, I mean, I'll get into it, but this really feels like a culmination of a lot of the other movies we've covered this month, as far as, like, tone and themes.
Yeah.
I don't know, we can get into it. But
honestly, we touched on, like, a lot of action-adventure movies.
Which... I feel like part of the sexual awakening aspect
is it the
like
action and the adventure?
Like or like right, or like just like watching the characters get to do stuff. Like it's kind of like, do I want to be them or do I want to fuck them? Like, yeah, I want to be on a pirate ship.
I want to be
Keira Knightley.
I want to be swinging from that rope with you. I want you to be fighting off mummies to save my life.
I have no envy of the action taking place in this movie though, because they do a lot of running. It just wouldn't be for me. I just like the outfits. I think that's another part of, like, queer sexual awakening and also, like, having gender envy.
Yeah.
Is, like, that you are, like, I don't know if I just think you're hot or if I just want to wear your outfit.
Yeah, this movie, because we talked about it in the Pirates episode, you talked a lot about how, like, the pirate outfit is your jam. This, for me, it was really striking a nerve. I was sitting there, like, watching it, the button-up, the suspenders, the tall boots, and the double-breasted holsters. I've never wanted an outfit more.
The little holster vest. What is it about the little holster vest that's just so sexy? Like...
It's the way they rip them out, too, you know what I mean?
And there's nothing sexy about firearms.
No.
Don't get me twisted on that. There's nothing
But
sexy about guns. It's just the little leather, the accessories.
If you could keep, like...
It's the accessories.
Like, instead of, like, guns, like those tiny little mini bottles of wine in your holster vest. That's me. That's who I want to be.
Or, like, 2 granola bars. Like, when I feel like my blood sugar's getting low, and you rip out, like, 2 little Nature Valley granola bars. Like, thank God.
What do you keep in your holster vest instead of guns?
Tums.
Yeah, oh, that's a good one. Tums in one side, wine in the other. A little travel bottle.
Yeah, right, so that I can prep my wine with Tums, because I'm like, I know this is gonna give me good.
Exactly. But I'm hoping that most of you have seen this movie. It felt a little weird to me that I hadn't seen this movie. I'd seen like maybe 20 minutes of this movie when I was like super young, and it was that scene where the bug crawls into the guy's skin, and then I immediately turned it off. I said, nope, this isn't for me. I'm done here. No. I had like nightmares about that for like a while. It really freaked me out. So, like, watching this again as a 23-year-old, I was like, yeah, no, that tracks. Like, I should have been fucking terrified as an 8-year-old with a bug crawling into my skin. Yeah.
See, I had never seen this movie, but I just, like, knew from, like, memes and, like, cultural things that it's like, every bisexual person is obsessed with The Mummy because Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are both so hot. And I was like, okay. And then I just, like, never really felt the need to, I don't know, it kind of, like, lumps in with, like, the Indiana Jones movies to me as those, like, late 90s, early 2000s, like, action-adventure-y, like, I don't know, I just, like, never watched them and then really felt like I had seen enough of that category to, like, I get it. Like, you know, they're all kind of the same.
Exactly.
But
there's action, there's adventure, there's a damsel in distress, there's treasure. Like, that's all you need. The man looks sexy.
Yeah. Even though he's being so misogynistic the whole time, like, why is he so hot?
It's bad. It's because he's got those little bangs. It's his hair.
Oh my
the
God,
90s
I
haircut.
Have written, like, whew. I was like, the reason bi people love this is because both of them have great bangs.
Oh my God. Her hair in this is insane. Like, this is, like, probably one of my best, like, I mean, in general, her outfits are insane. You were talking about it before this, but your, like, sheer nightgown, it's very Keira Knightley. Like, I'm just gonna keep talking about how this is, like, very, like, Pirates of the Caribbean to me.
Yeah.
But it's very, like, her hair, perfect. No matter what. She just got spit out of a sand tornado. It's gorgeous.
It's like, yeah, it's like the little bangs, and the movie is set in the 1920s.
Yeah, like 1925.
So it's like, I really think they, like, captured, like, that era of, like, the baby bangs, but her hair is curly, so they're, like, fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And then he's got, like, the floppy, like, the boy bangs, like, kind of what I've got going on.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, yeah, I really feel like it all boils down to, like, having gender, like, I'm having hair envy, I'm having costume envy, I'm having gender envy.
It's everything on top of each other.
I'm like,
it's a lot for me to handle.
And that's
I was having, like, realizations while watching this.
Right. I think that's why, like, this is, like, you know, the bisexual movie or whatever, because I'm like, I can't pick. I'm like, whose bangs do I want more? Whose costume do I want more? Like, I'm conflicted.
Yeah.
I'm struggling. How can I pick? They're both so good.
No, exactly. Do we want to give, like, a small recap, though? Because I have a lot to say about this movie.
Okay, yeah, I would say, like, the shortest recap ever. Like, because this movie, you know, I've said it before, it's 2 hours long, really did not need to be that long.
I didn't hate
many,
it.
like, I didn't hate it, but there were times, like, the long, drawn-out fight sequences, the chase sequences, and then, like, the fights that I feel like we see, like, the amount of times that the white people have to fight the, like, bodyguard, the Pharaoh's guard team. It happens, like, 9 times, so I'm like, oh,
Come on, let's move it along.
Like, we're fighting again. But that aside, it starts off with, in ancient Egypt, the priest, Imhotep, is having an affair with the Pharaoh's little side piece. Like, not even his wife, just, like, his, like, mistress, who is in just, like, the sluttiest.
That's how I knew I was in for it. Because this movie starts up, and she, like, we said sheer nightgown for Rachel Weisz in this. No. This is, like 2 strings. Not even mesh. It's not mesh.
So actually, it's painted on her skin. I looked it up because they painted that on her skin because they wanted the effect of it being, like, skin tight, but they, like, couldn't find, like, lingerie or whatever, so they literally just painted on her. So she's straight up naked, and they just painted on her. It's not wild, but it's giving, like, Savage X Fenty,
no, really?
like, debut, like, at the Victoria's Secret fashion show type moment, and so she is clearly, like, the object of his affection, so they're having a little side affair, and then the pharaoh finds out, so they kill the pharaoh. They're like, oh, this is we've got a good thing going, so they kill the pharaoh. Then the pharaoh's guard comes in, and they kill Imhotep in this, like, they basically, like, mummify him alive. They, like, wrap him up and put all the scarab beetles in with him, and then they curse him. And they're like, this curse, it's a doozy. We don't usually whip this one out, but honestly, it's feeling right.
For
so
you, we just might.
And then the side piece, she just kills herself. And she's like, I know that you can bring me back. She kills herself, and then he tries to bring her back, and then they find him. So it's, like, a whole thing. But basically, she's dead. He gets fucked alive. It's a whole thing. And then we fast forward to the future where Brendan Fraser is with, like, the French army, and they're, like, doing some, I don't know, fucking treasure hunting or some shit.
Some real, like, white people shit.
Yeah, some, like, colonialism, like, stealing cultural artifacts type shit, which is just, like, the basis of this whole movie. And then he gets, like, captured or whatever, and then we fast forward a few more years, and he's, like, been in jail, and his hair is all, like, raggedy and stuff, but then we get introduced to our other protagonists, which are Evelyn and Jonathan, and they're brother and sister, and they're in Egypt, and they, like, work in a library, and they're, like, researchers or whatever. Because their parents were, like, also Egyptologist researchers, so they're just, like, around. And they want to know about this book or whatever, or, like, the key or the map or something, and Brendan Fraser knows about it, so they're about to hang Brendan Fraser, like, after so many years.
Yeah.
So, for some reason, it's happening now, and she, like, they, like, literally hang Brendan Fraser. It's actually scientifically impossible that his neck would not have snapped. they like literally straight up hang him, and he's like flailing and thrashing, and then she's like, I'll give you like 500 doubloons or whatever. And so then they cut him free, and they're like, fine, he can guide you on your Egypt trip or whatever. And so, because he's got all the information, and basically she just wants to go for like education and like curiosity. There's also a team of Americans. Are they American or are they British? Americans who are like treasure hunters, so they're kind of like both going at the same time, and there's a little tension there. But so Brendan Fraser, what's his name? Rick O'Connell? Yeah. Rick O'Connell, and he guides them to the
I don't know, the Lost City thing. I have no idea.
The place where all the shit is going down, the treasure, the mummies, all that good stuff. He guides them there. Multiple encounters with the guards of like the Pharaoh's guards, who basically vowed to like not let white people fuck with the curse, just doing their job, just trying their best. And they go, obviously they poke around a bunch of artifacts, they fucking unleash the curse, they like get the book and they read the words from the book, which like makes Imhotep's mummy like reanimate into liveliness, but in order to like become fully not a mummy anymore and just a god, he has to like suck the life basically out of all the people who were there when they did the curse. And then also like side motivation, he also wants to like put the soul of the bitch in the lingerie, like he wants to sacrifice Evelyn to like bring her back, because I guess because Evelyn's the only woman around,
yeah.
that's
he's like I need someone with a puss.
Yeah, he's like, you're also hot, so it will do.
I was like, yeah, I don't think her brother's soul would have quite worked.
And the whole time, it's like everyone being like, no, this isn't a big deal. Curses are fake. And then like, literally like, whack shit is happening and mummies are going on. They're like, ha ha ha, no. And then people like literally like getting fucking murdered and corpseified. And then basically a lot of like fighting and the mummy, and they're trying to defeat the mummy even though he's like an immortal being that cannot die. And then how do they even kill him? They turn him mortal. They like read more from the book or whatever, right? And they turn him mortal, and then they just kill him because he's just a guy now.
Just a dude.
And then Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz kiss on top of a camel. And it's super hot.
And that's the movie.
That's the whole movie. That's excluding like 47 different like chase sequences and beetles crawling into people's skin.
And a little misogyny.
A lot of misogyny. Which really takes a special type to just be like so outwardly sexist towards your like supposed love interest in the film, and yet I'm still rooting for it. I'm like, by God. I'm like, how am I still, like, rooting for them to hook up, even though he's, like, literally, like, calling her a dumb bitch and, like, locking her in rooms and being like, you're fucking useless, even though she's the only person who ever, like... To be fair, she also does some stupid white
She's the one that got everyone into this mess in the first place. She's the one that just started reading spells and curses and everything like that, like it was nothing. Like, she is a dumb bitch for that. But at the same time, Brendan Fraser can't call her a dumb bitch because he is the one that led them on this little expedition, so...
Yeah.
But...
And he also, I don't know, clearly does not know enough about the lore to be making the big decisions.
Really? He just wields 2 guns, and that's it.
But it starts out, like, their first interaction is, like, him behind bars, and her basically being like, hey, I heard you know a lot about, like, how to get to this city. Can you help me out? And then he kisses her as a distraction. Which, like, that whole thing is just so weird. He just, like, surprise kisses her, like, just grabs her and just, like, forcefully through bars. I'm like, literally, what? Like, no, I did not like that. And then just, it's, like, very much that tone going forward of, like, him always just kind of, like, pushing her around. I don't know.
Yeah. She does very much play, like, the damsel in distress role in this movie, and that's literally it. And then it's like, oh, well, she can read hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing she's got.
And we can get into sort of the, like, questionably racist elements of this movie a little bit, but, like, she says basically she explains to him like, oh, my dad was like an adventurer and my mom was Egyptian and that's why I care so much about this shit. And I'm like, first of all, that's just incorrect. Like, I mean, like, in the context of this movie, but, like, literally her and her brother are played by white actors. Rachel Weisz is not Egyptian. She's white. She's Jewish. Like, I'm like, you just got, like, the two most, like, straight-up European-looking people. And I'm like, you're trying to tell me that they're half Egyptian?
Yeah, nice try, guys.
But apparently that's why she cares so much, and she's a librarian, but she wants to, like, get some sort of fellowship to, like, be an Egyptologist or something. At the beginning, she, like, has a passing comment that, like, her application got rejected by some, like, university or whatever, right? But her whole thing is that she wants to be doing, like, you know, archaeology, boots on the ground type investigative.
She's trying to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah, for sure. And she's just a librarian at the moment. So she's really taking things into her own hands here.
Did you feel really seen when she has like this little like spiel when she's drunk and she's like, you know what? I'm proud of what I am. And he's like, yeah, what's that? And she says, a librarian.
I literally was like, me. I'm like, I wish I looked that good stacking books. That opening scene where she's stacking the books and then she like gets stuck on the ladder. I'm like, ooh, I wish it was that fun. No.
Yeah, could you imagine pushing over hundreds of thousands of books like that?
It was giving Big Weld. It was giving Big Weld Industries. It was giving, I've locked myself away and created an elaborate domino Rube Goldberg contraption. I'm like, why are the bookshelves stacked ever so that
precariously
knocking
and
one
perfectly
just knocks all of them? I'm like, okay, Big Weld. But...
Oh my goodness. Do you think, because I mean, like I said, like, Rachel Weisz is basically, like, the big damsel in distress, like, in this whole scene, like, the entire movie, but do you think, like, at the same time, like, she's strapped down to, like, a plate, like, about to be sacrificed, and, like, she must have been terrified, but at the same time, I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know she's sitting there, and she's like, damn, this is crazy, this is so cool, like, how... Like, I would have never thought that this stuff is real, but look!
Oh my god, that's like, yeah, when Imhotep's, like, mummy first, like, kind of comes back to life, but he's still very much, like, a gangly, fleshy, gross corpse. Like, and they have their first interaction. She's acting scared, but she's not acting that she's just kind of like, oh no! Oh!
Your bones! Yeah, she's probably like, okay, this is scary, but, like, kind of cool.
This is kind of sick.
She's like, I'm writing a dissertation about this later.
Yeah, she's like, try rejecting my application again, Harvard. I literally brought back the 10 plagues of Egypt, so suck on it.
So, my question for you, I have a quick question, is did you have, like, an Egyptology phase as a kid? Because I think, like, a lot of kids did, but my thing is, like, do you think that the mummy Egyptology phase as a child was, like, a pipeline to, like, gay? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I definitely think the, like, Greek mythology to gay pipeline is certainly very much there, or, like, also, I feel like Greek mythology kid to, like, gay astrology bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
it's linear.
Also very, yeah, I don't know. I personally definitely was more, like, of the Percy Jackson Greek mythology, but I think I did read, because then the Percy Jackson series had, like, a spin-off series that was about Egypt, like, gods. So I definitely read that, and then I think I had all of those. If anyone else, shouts out to the kids who had I just called them the ology books, but it was like, it was like fake science, and it was like wizardology, fairyology, but there was also an Egyptology one, which was a little more actually educational, but I just remember there was this really cool page that had the, like, the sarcophagus, and it was, like, basically, like, a flip book that you could, like, fold out each layer, and it would show, like, the golden, because it was, like, basically, like, a coffin in a coffin in a coffin. Like, there were, like, 40 different fucking layers, and then in each one, the sort of, like, this is what they did to ferment and preserve this layer, and this is where they put all the personal objects that they needed to take with them in the afterlife and like all that cool shit. So I like didn't read any of the words, but I definitely looked at the pictures like type beat.
No.
But I wouldn't have called myself like right now if I were to regurgitate anything substantial about like ancient Egypt, it would just be like from the pieces of like art history classes I took in college, which is like not a ton.
Yeah, see, I did have the Egyptology phase for sure. I remember having like
nice.
I remember having like a big book about like King Tut and everything like that, and about how they mummified stuff. And similarly to your thing, how it was like a pop up. It was like they were like kind of like you could pull apart the pieces sort of bit, and it was like there was like I remember specifically there was one page where it was like you can like pull his brains out of his nose.
Because that's how they did it, and isn't that so quirky and fun?
Yeah. But it's so funny because I had that huge phase and I never watched this movie. And my thing is like, do you think, because I feel like everyone like around like the early 2000s had this phase. I'm like, did this movie set it in motion or was it just weirdly like lined up?
Yeah, I don't know because this movie came out in 1999. And so I feel like by the time I was like into that kind of shit, I'm going to say like what, ages like 10 through 12?
Yeah, it was already past.
It was already past, and I don't think I would have been, like, interested in watching, like, I would have probably attributed this to, like, the kind of movie my parents would watch, you know? I was probably more into, like, the, like, pre-teen kind of, like, dystopian fiction media that was kind of taking hold at that time. So I probably wouldn't have gone back to watch something. I don't know if maybe just, like, people our age if this passes over, but I mean, clearly not, because everyone fucking loves it, so.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if I saw this movie when I was younger, I probably would have come out sooner.
Yeah. You saw that body paint, and you're like, I have something to tell you guys.
Can we have a chat?
So Rachel Weisz's dewy cheekbones.
Dude, it's crazy. She would she would have had me wrap around her little finger.
Her makeup team went so hard. Like, not only did the costumes in this movie go so hard, but her pencil-thin eyebrows, her 1920 pencil-thin eyebrows, she always has, like a little bit of a lip stain, like a more than chapstick, but, like, less than a gloss, kind of like a little lip stain, and then, like, the highlight, the dewy highlight, and again, she's, like, tumbles out of a sandstorm, and yet she looks like... No.
Yeah. Impossible. I'll tell you what, though, is they really went in the entire opposite direction with her brother's eyebrows. I think that was one of the first things I noticed in this entire movie. I was like, oh god, his eyebrows are crazy. I can see he got all of the genes on that, and Rachel got none of them.
His character was really confusing to me, because...
I couldn't tell who he was supposed to be. You know what I mean?
They did not just, like, pick a direction. Because at first, he was kind of the, like, bumbling, like, kind of, not stupid, but, like, kind of, like, bumbling, doesn't really understand his sister, but is just kind
goofy,
of
kind of jackass brother.
Yeah, and he's always kind of an asshole. But then at one point, he starts, like, drinking a lot, and so then he's kind of, like, the drunk. But then he's also, like, he gets to go, like, Brendan Fraser clearly has more respect for him than he does for Evelyn because he's a man. So he's like, you can come with me on the expedition, but Evelyn, you have to stay at home. And so then he kind of takes the, like, oh, like, I'm going on the expedition even though I don't really give a shit kind of vibe. It was, like, really, it was not picking a direction.
Well, it felt a lot like, you know how, like, they have those, like, goofy little side pieces, which is what, like, Benny was in this movie sort of thing? I feel like they tried to, like, that's what Benny was, and they were like, oh shit, what do we have for this guy now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll just give him a handful of things to do, and that's it. And they're like, same idea with the guy that gets eaten by all the bugs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was just like, they just decided to, like, put a ton of guys that were, like, super into gold in it.
Yeah.
And that was it. Which also, there's that one scene where, like, Benny pretty much, like, gets recruited to be on the mummy's team, sort of thing. Because he starts, like, speaking, like...
Hebrew.
He starts speaking Hebrew, and he's like, oh, the slave language. I was like, oh, God.
Literally, that scene made no goddamn sense, because he, like... The bit was that he had all the different religious, like, iconography on different necklaces, and so, like, in his last moment, he, like, pulls up the cross and says something about Jesus. Then he pulls up the
Star of David.
you know, Buddha, and he
yeah.
starts speaking Chinese, and it's a whole thing, and he ends with the Star of David, and he starts speaking Hebrew, and the mummy's like, the slave language, I sure do have a purpose for you, and then the purpose is, like, to, like, go be a hitman. Like, it, like, doesn't involve speaking Hebrew even a little bit.
Oh, no, nothing.
Like, he's like, yeah, can you go get that guy whose, like, eyeballs I sucked out? Can you just, like, get him in a room, and can you finagle it so I can just, like, finish the job? Like, what the fuck does that have to do?
I don't know.
Like, there's the connection. I was just like, okay.
I just really like that scene because he, like, when he was, like, kind of, like, pitting Benny against a corner and being like, yo, be my guy, he, like, pulls out, like, gold, like, a handful of gold. Yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, where did he have that? Like, in his skin pockets? Like, you know what I mean? It's, like, very much, it's, like, the same thing as, like, Barbossa in fucking Pirates of the Caribbean with the apple. Yeah. It's like, where did you have that this entire time?
Reaches in between two ribs, just into, like, the lower intestine, just in the flaps. Let me have this loose hand of gold beetles. Little gold beetles. Does this
just rumbling around? You just keep it, like, in your jaw. That's, like, falling apart.
That was the big visual gag here, was that his jaw was always kind of unhinging, and then he was, like, getting it back into place. How did you feel about the CGI in this movie? Because I think it's bad, and I think people who are like, no, it's kind of iconic for the time, it holds up. I just disagree. It's just bad. It's just bad.
I think it could have been worse. I don't think it was good. I don't think it was as bad as it could have been. But, like, obviously, like, I'm just gonna keep talking about Pirates. Like, 2 years later, Pirates came out, and, I mean, the CGI was, like, better. It was better. But I wouldn't say it was, like, leaps and bounds better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think there were a lot of moments where they, like, overutilized it, that I'm like, you did not need to be CGing in, like, things here. Like, things that could have been, like set design or, like, practically done, that just, like, I understand that they needed to CG the mummy, because that's, like, the whole thing, is that he's, like, but, like, I don't know, big moments where, like, a gust of sand that, like, has a face in it, but it just, like, doesn't quite look right. I'm like, you didn't need to put that in there.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, nice try. Yeah, you know...
It was distractingly bad, but that's part of the fun about watching a movie from 1999, I think, is being like, oh, distractingly bad CGI.
Yeah, you're like, this is awful, but whatever. You know what wasn't CGI, though? Was Brendan Fraser throwing a chair at Benny. Oh, let me tell you what. I would let him throw a chair at me like that. I'd let him throw me around like we did with Benny. That was, like, the entire movie. It's, like, probably, like, 10% of it was just him smacking around this little dude. That was, like, an entire plot point. Just him throwing him over the side of a boat or up against a wall.
Roughing him up.
I was like, oh my god.
That was, like, at one point, so he throws the chair at him, and then he, like, picks him up by the collar, and he holds him up to the ceiling fan to, like, get him to, like, talk.
Yeah.
And then he slams him down on a table, and then he parts his legs, and Brendan Fraser stands in between his legs and leans over him to, like, get more information. I'm like, this is sexual. I'm like, Benny is getting hard. Like... Is that
Something's
just your
poking
gun holster? Are you
Fraser
excited to
diaphragm.
see? But I was just like, immediately he like parts his leg to make room for Brendan Fraser to get in there.
It's like muscle memory. They spent years in the deserts together. Like, come on. This movie's horny. We've already talked about it.
Because is Benny not also the guy who, like, slammed the door
that's
on
exactly
him at the
who
last
he is.
minute? Yeah, and so they have tension. Mm-hmm. They have a little back and forth. They have a little history.
There's unfinished business there. And Benny obviously knows it. As much as, like, the CGI and everything like that in this movie isn't good, I did really like the hijinks. I think that, like, this is sort of in the same vein of, like how Marvel movies, it's all the same shit and all that, but, like, this is, like, and it's very 1999 and everything like that, but I did not mind all the action sequences. I do sometimes like a good action movie. I'd say it skews, like, 40 to 60%, 40% me being, like, I like it, 60% me usually hating it. But this one I could deal with. I liked all the practical effects and everything like that, which was not too much, but like when it was done pretty decently. And I think Brendan Fraser just did a great job with like his fight scenes.
Oh, he does like almost all of his own stunts. So, and there's this whole thing about how when they did the hanging scene, they like legitimately hung him, and he passed out, and they had to like resuscitate him on site because they like literally almost killed him. And there's actually a whole thing. So if we want to get into a little bit of, I love and support Brendan Fraser, and I will be his champion of just like rooting for him always.
Yeah, we're a Brendan Fraser podcast.
He, like, did not have a super hot time in Hollywood during his, like, peak. And he doing a lot of his own stunts, and I think he was cast to be, like, that sort of guy, like George of the Jungle, action movie type, and he did a lot of his own stuff, but it really, like, took a serious toll on his body, and he had to get, like, so many surgeries and stuff to, like, make up for the damage that being in these films did on his body. And like literally hearing that they like legit hung him is like fucking crazy.
That's fucked.
Like what? That's why we need like unions.
Yeah,
like,
really.
We need like actors unions to make sure that this shit is like safe. Because he was put in a lot of really unsafe situations, but also he was sexually assaulted by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association president in 2003, and then he didn't say anything about it until the Me Too movement in 2018. Then he was literally blacklisted, which is like why he isn't really in a ton of shit anymore.
Yeah, I think he's on his comeback now, which is great.
I think people are, because ever since he's like done more interviews about it and talked about it, and being like, yeah, Hollywood literally blacklisted me, like, and just, like, being open about it, I think he's getting cast in more stuff, but he primarily does, like, voice acting work and, like, smaller stuff now, but yeah, I'm hoping for the Brendan Fraser return, because he fucking slaps so hard.
Yeah, I love him. I feel like he was a big part of, like, a lot of people's childhoods, honestly.
And, again, I don't know, like, we purposefully didn't talk about any of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff in our Pirates episode, but I think there's a lot to be said about, like, if you actually want to address, like, men who've been sexually assaulted, there are so many men in Hollywood who have come forward about it who have not received that level of support. Like, Terry Crews, Brendan Fraser, there's just, like, a laundry list of them. So if you're gonna, like, if you're gonna champion that cause, then like do it across the board. Don't just cherry pick who you want to do it from. That's my thought on that matter.
Very well
but
said.
that's in like cases like this. Yeah, I'm like let's all rally behind Brendan Fraser. Then,
for real,
you know,
like come on now.
But also, oh my god, did you ever see Journey to the Center of the Earth? I feel like that was like my first Brendan Fraser like exposure as a child. Because
we talked about
movie
this
come out in like. Yeah, that movie with what little
Josh Hutcherson.
Josh Hutcherson.
I loved that movie.
I remember seeing it in the theater specifically and being like, oh.
What's going on here? It's like, on the one hand, it's like Josh Hutcherson, who's like more your age, and you're like, oh my god. But then also there's like adult Brendan Fraser, and you're like, oh my god.
Oh. But that's, I think you were saying about, like, the 60-40 split of enjoying action movies. I think the thing that tips it for me is if it's also a period piece.
Yes, I really liked this.
Or, like, thematically, like, with Pirates of the Caribbean, like, it's a pirate movie. It's not just things that are just straight action movie, like, I don't know, like The fucking Departed or whatever, where it's just, like, guys fighting and for what? I'm like, where's the drama and the conforma?
Right.
Where are the costumes? Where's the historical context?
This is why the Fast and the
give that to
Furious
me,
movies
please.
don't do anything for me.
Exactly. Or, like, I've never seen any of the John Wicks, but I, like, don't really feel the need to. I'm like, but if it's a action movie that's, like, also, like, period piece adjacent, that's what gives it into that 40% for me, I think. Because I think those movies are silly. They're supposed to be silly. And I feel like a lot of them take themselves way too seriously. And then when they do have comedic moments, it's like, someone shoots someone, and then it's like, told you so.
Yeah.
Or like a haha scoffy, whereas I feel like even though there were like quippy things like that in this, it was so not taking itself seriously.
Right.
It was Brendan Fraser literally being like, and now I'm saying a catchphrase.
Yeah, literally. I felt like this was like the quippy dialogue in this was a little bit more tastefully done than like last week we talked about how it was like a bit much with Stick It. It was a lot with Stick It, but like this I feel like it was kind of like balanced out. It was like every 10 minutes instead of every 2 minutes.
Right, and I think it's also the difference of, like, how earnest it feels, or how, like, we're just trying to be a little bit stupid, you know, rather than being like, this is hashtag sarcasm, and I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Or being like, this movie is a little stupid, so the way people talk is gonna be kind of stupid. Like, I think we said that the difference between, like, Stick It and Juno, you know? Juno's just, like, very self-awarely, like, people are talking weird. Bum, ba, ba, bum. Guess who's back at it again with another interim podcast segment? It's my lovely mother, Jen. She comes in, she asks us 2 things. We all just say which one we like better. It's a fun game. It's called Chocolate or Vanilla. She's the host. Jen, how are you doing?
I'm really good. How are you guys?
A bird shat on my head on my walk into work this morning, so my whole day was ruined, but hopefully this round of chocolate or vanilla will revive me.
I was gonna say, I got high praise from many of my coworkers today, so I'm buzzing. I had a better work day than Dara. How are you, Jen? Actually, you already said you're good, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. A bird did not shit on my head today.
Exactly.
I've never had a bird shit on me.
Me neither.
It's pooped on my car.
I've literally had a bird directly shit on me multiple times in my life. I think I'm just
super
like thankfully
lucky.
so unlucky. No, everyone's like, oh, a bird pooped on you? That's good luck. And I'm like, fuck you. You're not the one who had to wash bird shit out of your hair in the sink at work. I don't feel lucky. But anyways, I'm hoping this round of chocolate or vanilla will revive me, Jen. Is there a theme?
There is no theme. This is just willy-nilly, no theme.
I love it.
Willy-nilly, no theme. Embracing the chaos. I
say,
really feel this today.
I think no theme is my favorite theme.
Oh?
This
Good
is,
to know.
and as far as no theme goes, if you have ideas for themes for chocolate or vanilla, slide into our DMs. Let us know, because we love to hear it from you. And, nothing is too silly. So anything you ever think would be, like, a fun thing to do on the show, let us know. But no theme is also a really fun theme, so let's fucking get into it.
All right, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
I'm gonna go vanilla, of course.
Chocolate. Chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry?
Chocolate.
Yeah, I'm sticking with vanilla today.
Yeah, I'm going to go strawberry. All right, first one is gummy bears or gummy worms?
I actually recently was in a gas station just, deciding this in real time. And I picked the gummy worms because... Or no, the gummy bears, because they're one flavor. And you can, I feel like, oh, I want a red one now. Whereas gummy worms are always, two-toned. So it's just, it clashes sometimes.
True. I'm gonna go gummy worms, though, because I can more often than not find the sour gummy worms. I don't feel like sour gummy bears are, a thing.
I'm going to go gummy bears. Margarita or Mai Tai?
I don't like tequila, and I wish I did, because it seems really convenient, because a marg seems like a lot of fun, but I don't like tequila, so I'm going to pick a Mai Tai. Love a Mai Tai.
I love tequila. That's probably my favorite liquor. But I do love a Mai Tai as well, because it's just 4 different types of rum. And I'm bound to get smashed. But today I'll pick margarita, because after this I am planning on making myself one with, Trader Joe's has jalapeno limeade right now.
Ooh.
Yes. I literally bought that recently, and I bought that, and I was
Is it
like,
good?
Henry, this is gonna be good in a mixed drink. It's it just kind of tastes like limeade, but
Alright.
I love anything as a mixer.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna put tahini
time.
on the rim.
Yes.
Ooh, that
So
sounds
yeah,
good.
margarita day.
Yeah, I'm going with Rita just because of how Emily described her margarita night. I love a margarita, though. That's actually probably my favorite mixed drink.
It's so classic, and there's you can do it so many different ways.
Yeah,
Strawberry
true.
margarita, pineapple margarita, mango margarita, any sort of fruit.
Just
Rita.
go through all the fruits.
I might.
all
I
the
might.
fruit syrups.
Should I keep going?
Watermelon. No, I'm sorry.
Next one, beach house or lake house?
I'm gonna go with beach house just because sometimes a lake house doesn't have surrounding activities. So if you're not a person who likes water sports, you might not, your only other choice is maybe hiking. And again, if you're 12 and not that athletic, it's okay, you can do water sports or hiking. Whereas beach, I feel like there's always a pier with fried dough and a roller coaster. And I don't know, beaches tend to have more touristy attraction-y shit, so just variety. So I'm gonna go with beach house.
I think I'm gonna pick lake house for the same reason, I guess, because there's nothing around. Like, if I want, like, solitude, that also, like, beach houses don't have, like, any tree coverage. I like a little tree coverage around my house. And then there's some lake.
Good point. Good point. I still would pick a beach house. I love walking on the beach. Next one is breakfast for dinner or going out for breakfast.
Ooh. Okay, this is really hard. Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. My favorite food of all time is an Eggs Benedict. I will stake that in the ground as, like, I don't have a lot of, like, favorites for things, but that is, like, absolutely definitely one of my favorites. So I think I have to say going out for breakfast because I feel like food tastes better when somebody else makes it for you. And I think you have more options at a restaurant as far as breakfast goes, because if you want, like, eggs, hash browns, bacon, and toast, they just give that to you in 5 minutes, where if you have to make all that shit for yourself in your house, that's gonna take a long time. That's a lot of moving pieces. That's a lot of components. So I just like the wide variety of things that I can get at a breakfast restaurant all at once. So for that, I will say going out for breakfast.
I'm gonna say breakfast for dinner, because I'm not very much of a breakfast person. Breakfast feels very limiting to me. Every other meal, I can have anything I want. And you know what? Sometimes for dinner, I want breakfast for dinner instead. Also, I think it just tastes better when you have it at night. But that's just me.
That's true.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you're more like hungry, ready to appreciate things. You wake up first thing and you're like, huh? And you're like suddenly about to eat an egg. Like, what's that about?
Yeah, right?
But
My stomach's not even awake, and then suddenly there's, like, yogurt? What's that? Why?
I love breakfast for dinner too, but I'm going to say go out for breakfast. Next one is travel to the past or travel to the future.
Okay, I, like, hate to get grim and doom here.
Yeah,
but, like,
the future's
future,
she's not looking very bright.
future is not looking hot. And, like, honestly, if, like, I got in a time machine and then I traveled to the future and it was just, like, a desolate wasteland, and then I came back,
I'd probably kill myself.
I would just feel so bummed about it. So I'm gonna say to the past, but, like, I would have to be real strategic about it because I would not be able to, like, LARP. Like, I would go back and I would, like, say some shit about, like, TikTok or, like, my iPhone, and then I would get, like, trapped by the CIA.
You'd be
and they'd be like, what do you know?
They just institutionalize you at that point.
Yeah, immediately. They're like, her armpits are not shaved. Institutionalized.
No, similarly to Dara, I don't really want to see the future. I'd like to live in the one little shred of, like, bliss that I have right now of not knowing, even though, like, I know what's gonna happen. But so I'm going to the past.
I didn't mean it to be so dark and sad, but I'm going to go to the past too.
I was gonna say
we took it there.
Next one is ponytail or braids.
Wait, Jen, you didn't say past or future.
Oh, I said past. I said past.
Oh, okay. Ponytail or braids? Ponytail's so easy. And you're a ponytail kind of gal, Jen. And when I have my hair up in a pony, and you have your hair up in a pony, and we're both together out in public, people are like, oh my god, you guys look so much like each other. And I'm like, and then we say the same words in the same, like, diction, idiosyncrasy at the same time. Where we're like, oh my god, that's so great. Like, to, like, at the same time, we both, like, have, like, weird bangs and a ponytail, and I'm like, fuck! But it's great, because you're so great, so I'm like, well, if I can be like Jen, that's alright. So I'll say ponytail. Braids are too much work.
I was gonna say, it's interesting that you say that, because when I met you, I think you only wore your hair in braids, ever. I don't think I ever saw your hair down.
I'm an updo kind of gal, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go ponytail, because I've never been good at braids, and I always have my hair layered, so whenever I do braid it, it gets those little strands.
Spiky.
Yeah, it gets spiky,
Yeah, spiky.
And I just get really mad.
I'm going to go ponytail. Next one is Hall & Oates or Tegan and Sarah.
Okay, not to be homophobic, but I'm gonna pick Hall & Oates. Because, okay,
you can't say that during Pride Month. You can't say not Tegan and Sarah.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But Jen and I had literal tickets to go see Hall & Oates in concert. like the month that the pandemic struck, and then they pushed it back 8 million times, and then they're like, you know what, it's just, you are refunded, it's over. And it was very sad, because I was looking forward to being the youngest person by 20 years at a Hall & Oates concert.
Yeah.
I was ready to get so trashed with a bunch of like 50-year-old men. It was gonna be awesome. But
That would be awesome. I'm gonna have to jump on this train with you though, because I think I've maybe listened to one Tegan and Sarah song once, and that's it. I just know they're lesbians. They're twin lesbians. That's it. I couldn't name a
they're
song.
Canadian.
I couldn't name a song if you asked me to.
They sing
So-
they sing the Lego movie theme song, Everything is Awesome. You know that song, right?
That does even less for me. No, I can't say I do. So I'll stick with Hall & Oates.
Okay, well, I love Tegan and Sarah, but I'll also pick Hall & Oates. Next one is work remote or go into the office.
Go into the office. I had to work my first like week of work remote because I had COVID. Hashtag Rona. Hashtag Miss Rona got me. For my first week of work, and doing remote was fucking awful. I literally just like sat on my couch and like was sweaty and bored and sad. And now that I get to go into the office, I get to like, I'm not even social, but I like just being around people and being like, what can I help you with? As like a young person trying to like make a career, it just makes a whole lot of difference. So I've gotten to do a lot more shit.
Yeah, I haven't worked remote, but I did like the school thing remote all like last year, and I don't have the attention span for it. I can't do it. I turn into like a 9-year-old boy that needs like a fidget cube like in both hands kind of thing, and I'm still not paying attention. So I need to be like physically in a space and like, yeah, like you said, Dara, like be socializing with other people, because I can't socialize online.
It's more about like being held accountable, honestly, because if I'm physically in a space, I need to like posture myself to be like the best version. Whereas it's like, if I can have my camera off and I'm fucking like, no way, no shot.
No chance. What about you, Jen?
Yeah, same thing. Go into the office. I never worked remote either, but I don't think it would be for me. Next one is
Jen, you're a physical therapist. You have to touch
no such thing
people
as remote.
to change lives. There's physically, unless we get into some deep like VR haptic technology shit, there's no way you can do
no.
your job.
It actually
This is going into the future.
exists.
The going into the future that you're speaking of is that you're gonna have to like wear a bodysuit to like in the metaverse like give someone a massage.
No, it does exist. Like you can instruct people on exercises just by video chat and stuff like that. Like
That's
it's
fucking
telehealth.
stupid.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
I
fucking
can't do
stupid.
it, but
I'm sorry.
yeah. Next one is tribute band or celebrity impersonator.
Tribute
tribute
band?
band.
Tribute band or celebrity impersonator. Honestly, I love a celebrity impersonator. I wish, I'm really going off the rails right now, huh? If I could have any superpower in the world, it would be that I could have I could change my voice to match anyone's voice. Because that way I could be a singer, I could be a celebrity impersonator / comedian / like voice actor on TV. So many opportunities, right? And so I always thought that would be like the S tier. That's the superpower. I get a pill, anything, that's what I want. So I will say celebrity impersonator for that reason, because
I'm also gonna go celebrity impersonator. Tribute bands are just like kind of fucking lame. I don't know.
I love tribute bands.
It's just because I saw like that show, like the Beatles like Rain show or some shit like that, and it was probably not even like the fact that the band was good, but the show was just so fucking boring that I can't do it.
I think impressions are so fun though if people can do impressions, but I'm gonna say a tribute band. Next one is Bitcoin or NFTs.
fuck you. I'm not answering that question. I'm
You
sorry,
have to
Jen.
answer.
Like literally,
You can edit it out.
Fuck that shit. Okay.
No, Derek can opt out. I'm gonna just say Bitcoin because I can't say NFTs. Like I'm choosing the lesser.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
I'm choosing like the lesser of two evils here. Like both are awful, stupid shit, but
It's like a Pokemon evolution. Like Bitcoin's the first one, and NFTs is the second one, and I don't want to fucking know what the third one will be. I don't know.
Wow.
What about you?
I'm gonna take NFTs.
Oh,
Jen,
I
is
just
it because they look like fun?
you think it
little
has
monkeys?
intrinsic You think it has intrinsic artistic value, but it fucking doesn't.
Next one is Motown or disco.
Ooh. Ah. I love me some disco because I feel like, well, Motown, they're so close to each other. I feel like in time and they like kind of played off each other a little bit.
Sure.
But I definitely think disco for the culture of like the outfits and the scenery and sort of like the vibe that went along with disco, and the fact that like the disco sucks movement sort of like spawned the like grunge riot movement is also kind of cool. So like I feel like what disco, I don't know, sort of established. Also, I just wear flare pants like as much as I can, so I have to say disco.
I'm gonna go Motown because I'm a huge Motown slut. Also, I feel like without Motown, disco wouldn't have existed. So
true.
yeah,
So
I'm
very
gonna
true.
stick to that.
Yeah, me too. I've been in a Motown phase lately. So good.
Huge
So
Motown
good.
guy.
Next one is teriyaki wings or buffalo wings.
I see. Teriyaki wings are one of those things I wish I liked. Like tequila, I just don't like. Or buffalo wings. I don't like buffalo like dip. I wish I liked buffalo dip. It would allow me to like be social at football-based events a lot easier. But I just don't really like buffalo, and I wish I did. But I'll have to go with teriyaki. I actually had teriyaki chicken for dinner this very night. So wild.
See, I absolutely adore buffalo anything, so I'll stick to the buffalo wings.
Yeah, not me. I don't like spicy things, so I have to go teriyaki. I think teriyaki is spicy.
Yeah, you gave me those jeans, and I had to overcome, Jen. I had to overcome and train my taste buds to handle even a little cracked black pepper. Was a hurdle for me.
Oh my god.
Next one is sleep on your left side, sleep on your right side, or sleep on your back.
Okay, I'm gonna choose the fourth
Stomach.
alternate. So I sleep on my
Yeah.
stomach. I'm a stomach sleeper, which is fucked up because I have sleep apnea, so I'm supposed to wear the mask. But the fact that I sleep on my stomach, like, physically impossible, you know? So when I go to my doctor, they're like, what? And I'm like, I can't do it, man. I'm sorry. Like, I'm literally, like, face down stomach sleeper. Like, dead. Like, corpse pose. Dead. That's how I sleep.
See, I feel like I have like a routine, honestly. Like, I'll start on my stomach, and then I'll flip to either my right or my left side, and then I'll slip to the opposite one, and then I finally end on my back, and then, like, that's how I actually sleep.
You do the
It's
full
like a
roll.
Exactly. It's like a full 20-minute, like, routine that I do. I'm, like, coming to terms with the fact that I can't have my legs, like, crushed up against each other on my side every I'm like, I can feel my skin on my skin, and I don't like that. And I just have to sleep on my back. So I'll stick with back because that's my actual truth.
I am a right side sleeper, so I'm going to say sleeping on my right.
Do you know you're supposed to sleep on your left side for digestive health?
Really?
If you want your gut to like hang the right way in your carcass,
Interesting.
your like I don't know, your midsection to like digest food the right way. Lay on your right or left. Lay on your left side.
I just know that you're not supposed to sleep on your back if you get like sleep paralysis, because that like not spawns it, but like makes it come easier. So.
Well, because that's when you see the demons. If you have sleep paralysis when you're on your stomach, your eyes shoot open, and what are you met with? The pillow, not Chris Pratt standing in the corner of my bedroom.
Yeah.
The next, last one is iCarly or Hannah Montana.
Oh, what a tough goings. I have to say, overarchingly, I think iCarly informed my personality more in the moment, but as a lasting piece of media, I think Hannah Montana means more to me. Like, looking back, like, I was like, oh, iCarly, they're so weird, but, like, looking back, I think, like, I, like, am still not a fan, necessarily, but just, like, I just respect Miley Cyrus and the way that she's, like, done her whole thing. It's just, like, interesting to watch, whereas, like, I don't really know what's Miranda Cosgrove doing. I don't know. So, as a person who's, like, of similar age, watching Miley Cyrus, like, go through her whole shit was just, like, interesting to me as a aging person. So, I'll say Hannah Montana for that reason, because, like, all her different music stages, and, like, growing up and being an industry baby. I don't know. It's a case study, so...
I think I just had more of a connection to iCarly when I was younger. I feel like that was my, like base level for everything. I definitely, like, Hannah Montana was, like, on my level and on my radar, but, like, not as much, I guess. I was a big Sam girl, so... Yeah.
Gay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Exactly. But...
I read a lot of Sam Carly fan fiction.
I believe that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about you, Jen?
I am going to pick iCarly.
Ooh, alright.
So, and that is it for no theme, willy-nilly, chocolate or vanilla.
I like this one.
Stunning. I love no themes. So random. As iCarly would
Yeah,
say,
really.
so random. We love to have you on the show playing this game. Jen, as I said earlier, if you have ideas, send them in to us. And, 50% of the time I actually post them, but I always say I'm going to post them. So maybe I'll post them on our Instagram and y'all can vote for what your favorite random shit is, and that could be fun. And we love you, Jen. Thank you for showing up to host the
I love
segment.
you guys too. Have an awesome week. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. The glaring thing that kind of did turn me off about this movie was just, like, the, like, white colonialism of it
Yeah.
all. Like, and obviously, like, I don't know, in 1999, this was not, like...
I think that...
It wouldn't have been addressed or people, like, weren't thinking about
Exactly.
it. But it was, like, literally, like, the people who we're supposed to be rooting for, I'm, like, actively, like, no, you're the bad guy. You're, like, literally stealing artifacts to go bring to your, like, fucking white European homeland to put in fucking, like, to pawn off to museums. Like, absolutely the fuck not. And every time that the Pharaoh security detail rolls up and is like, hey, like, we just told you time and time again to, like, not come fuck with the artifacts and, like, you're gonna die, and whether it's, like, us or someone else, or, like, the curse or whatever, like, you will die, so maybe just, like, don't continue, and then they're like,
Yeah, right.
okay, and then they keep going, and I'm just like, literally, they deserve to get
Yeah.
shot at this point, because it's just, I don't know, it's so annoying, and I'm like, I'm here for the scarab beetles. I'm like, they released the scarab beetles, and then they devoured that man, and I'm like, you know what?
As they should.
Not their
Yeah.
fault.
They're just doing what they do. That's an
What?
animal.
Even the mummy, you know? They could have just killed him. After they found out he was trying to resurrect the dead pharaoh's girlfriend, and they were like, they could have just staked through the heart, a little gun, knife wound to the side, no guns. They could have just killed him,
The
right?
mummy?
Instead, they're like,
I
we're
don't
gonna
think so.
curse... Imhotep. Yeah, they literally could have just
No,
killed him.
because they were like, he's immortal. Like, you can't... that's why they had to find, like, the gold book or whatever it was.
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about in the very first sequence of the movie when they put the curse on him in the ancient times.
Right, they
Right?
didn't have to curse him that bad.
They didn't have to. They were like, "This is the worst curse we've ever done, and it's gonna be tricky." And I'm like, "You literally could just like knife him in the side and be like, done."
Yeah. Like, why would you ever, like, chance, like, him coming back and wreaking, like, eternal havoc on the entire world? Like, why do that? That's, like, for the drama.
We're gonna trust that these beetles are gonna get the job done. And I'm like, how about the 9-foot-long sword you have strapped to your side? Like, let's not take any chances with that. And that's like when he comes back, I'm like, he's just pissed.
I'd be mad, too.
They cursed him, and they put the beetles in there, and he's like, I just want my girlfriend back. I kind of side with the mummy. And then you wake up thousands of years later, and you see a bunch of white people fucking robbing your ancestral homeland. No fucking shot. Absolutely not. I would also sacrifice Rachel Weisz. I'd be like, okay, dumb bitch. You love Egyptology so much? Fucking commit.
I like the narrative that he just wants his girlfriend back.
Right? Well, like, that kind of is the whole thing. But, like, also, you know, like, releasing the 10 plagues or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, that was not his choice. They literally thrust that upon him.
He never wanted this.
The mummy was innocent.
Yo, justice for Imhotep, for real.
But it's, like, it's, like, kind of, I mean, not, like, I'm sure they didn't think of it as tasteless at that time, but it's just, like, so blatantly tasteless the way that they have, like, all the different kind of archetypes of the, like, white colonialist entering culture, and, like, so they have, like, Rachel Weisz being, like, I'm an academic, and I'm here because I want to learn, but, like, it's, like, actively destroying and, like, being problematic and, like, stealing things, but, like, she's doing it for for
This is a
academia,
historically
which is, like,
accurate
still
white
not an
person.
excuse. But then they also have the team of the people who are like, we don't give a fuck about the culture. We're just treasure hunters. And, like, they, like, all steal those, like, little animal carving scrimshaw type things. They're like, this is treasure. We have the treasure. And then they all have to, like, get them back. But, like, I just think that there are just so many examples of, like... And they all are surrounded by Egyptian people constantly being like, hey, maybe don't touch that. Hey, there's, like, don't read from the curse book. That's just, like, hot tip. And then they just continue to do it. And I'm like, oh, this is just, like, a little glaringly tasteless. But
Yeah.
1999, I guess. But I also just, like, didn't really like the way, so it's obviously two groups of white people, but they also have, like, Egyptian locals kind of peppered throughout their teams or whatever. So we have, like, the sort of professor doctor guy who's with the American people, but then we have Benny, obviously, who's kind of just, like, there. I don't really know what he's bringing to the table, but then, what's his name? Warden.
Oh.
Who gets the beetle in him and dies. At the beginning, he's sort of like their travel companion, I guess, between Evelyn and O'Connell, and he's sort of just with them. And they're constantly just being like, he's kind of like the guy they don't want around, and they just like keep talking about how stinky he is. They're like, oh, you stinky Egyptian man who just is coming along for the ride. We fucking hate your guts. We fucking hate you. And then he gets the beetle up in his skin, which is so gross, and then he just runs straight into a wall and dies. And then they, like, literally laugh about it afterwards. They're like, that guy was so silly. And I'm like, he's
dead.
He perished in, like, in a not fun way.
They're like, what do you think killed him? I bet it was the drinking. I was like,
yeah.
And then they all proceed to get...
that stinky silly man. All right.
They all proceed to get, like, shit-faced off of his booze. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, I didn't love the sort of, like, all the Egyptian characters, like, were caricatures of, like, that sort of thing, whereas, like, we just, I don't know, again, 1999, but does not hold up in a good way today.
No, for sure not. Do we want to get into our regularly scheduled programming?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Sure.
So Fuck, Marry, Kill is a bit difficult for this movie. There's a lot of fuckable people.
Because I think if you would argue that the main three characters are Rick O'Connell, Evelyn, and then her brother, I think that's just like, what's it, Jonathan? Yeah. Jonathan's the brother. If we do those three, we're both obviously killing Jonathan. Like, no cap. Yeah. And then I guess, I guess there could be some debate between, I think it would easily be, though, you marry Evelyn and you kill
I'm just not
Rick,
gonna...
because I just can't deal with a man who's gonna, like, throw me over his shoulder and lock me in a room and be like, you can't come on the adventure. Even though he was kind of valid for that, she was not helpful. He was like, I'm gonna go do a gunfight, and she's like, can I come? And he's like, you're not gonna be helpful. And she's like, but I want to come. And he's like, no, you have to stay. And then every time there is a fight, she just ends up, like, laying on the ground. Like, I'm like, yeah, you weren't helpful.
He's like, you're just gonna create more problems because I'm gonna have to save you while I'm also fighting 17 other mummies.
Because you're gonna, like, accidentally pull a latch that, like, releases a different curse, or, like, releases a big booby trap.
The Beatles are coming.
Like, you just seem like that kind of bitch. Yeah.
But yeah, I will not be marrying the misogynist in this case. I'll fuck him. Like I said, he can throw the chair at me.
Yeah, he can hold me up to a ceiling fan. I'd be like, ooh. Okay.
But no, I'm definitely marrying Rachel Weisz. She can read to me. I want her to read to me.
If I could read some hieroglyphics.
Yeah,
This is, again, like, the way that this movie is so similar to all the other ones we've covered. Atlantis, like, she can read the dead language. Like, this movie is also so Atlantis of, like, a group of outsiders invading, like, disrupting the culture of, like, an ancient society, and then, like, getting shit all fucked up. And then our protagonist is just like, I know how to read the old books. like,
I'm the only one within thousands of miles. Out of the whole movie, though, who am I gonna kill? I think I'm actually gonna kill O'Connell, because without him, none of this would have happened. The mummy would have stayed dead.
True.
Everything would have been fine.
You don't think that Evelyn would have somehow still weaseled her way over to that, like,
No.
runes and just, like,
No.
fuck shit up?
I think, honestly, her
No.
pussy kind of guided her on this one a little bit, because it was like, after she got kissed through the bars, she couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, all right. I was like, she needed that man. I don't think she could have persuaded the Americans or anyone else to take her or find her way. And so I'm gonna kill him just to prevent all of the hijinks and the death of the innocent that happened in this movie. And then I'm gonna fuck Evelyn, and I'm gonna marry. He's like the head of the King's Guard, of like this time sort of thing. I don't know what his
With the under eye
I don't know what his
tattoos?
name is, but like he's
Yeah.
just like he's
Hot.
really committed and dedicated to his job, and he's super hot while doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna kick it with him. He seems like he just knows when to like. He's got like a good work-life balance. You know what I mean?
I would argue, I'm surprised you want to marry him. I feel like he has no work-life balance. You're just gonna be alone at home night and day because he's just out fucking telling these white people to stop fucking with the artifacts.
But I feel like how often do people actually find this like lost city? You know what I mean? It's not very often. Like this is probably like the first time in like, I mean, like mind you, Brendan Fraser was there like 3 years prior, but it's like every couple of years someone stumbles upon it. You know what I mean?
He has to take a business trip every
Exactly.
few years.
I like that's
And
fine with
honestly-
me. He like gets to ride his horse out there like maybe like once or twice a week to like check and see if anyone's there, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like okay, we're kicking it.
I see that. I feel that.
Plus, he's just really hot.
Um,
The under eye tattoos did something for me.
yeah. Definitely the eye tattoos for sure. I feel like I'm gonna give like honorable mention to the head of the American Treasure.
Is this the one with the
Thieves.
glasses?
That like
He
the
was.
glasses. It was giving.
It was
Milo
giving
Thatch.
Milo
It was
Thatch,
giving
and I
Milo
loved his
Thatch.
outfit a lot. The Velmaism of him, though, the poor guy,
I can't find my glasses.
and then he loses his
I also felt
eyeballs.
pretty seen. Yeah. Then he gets
Here's
his
the thing:
eyeballs
is do you
scooped.
think that the mummy
But-
would also need glasses if he took his eyeballs?
Yeah. So
Like you took the
true.
guy that has like the shittiest vision.
The way that they like portrayed him like without his glasses and everything was just like blurry. I'm like this. If this man's vision was actually this bad, his glasses would have had to be an inch. And
Yeah,
a
like
half
Coke
thick.
bottles.
Like they were right in front of him, and he was like, "What? Where are they?" And then they got smushed. But I will not be fucking marrying or killing him because he is still a white guy who thinks he can steal
Yeah.
from other cultures for his personal profit. So not my jam, but he was kind of sexy. I think I'm gonna marry the Captain Winston, the really old
Oh.
guy who just kind of bumbles around.
He's drunk all the
because
time.
I'm hoping he has one foot out the door, or I could like I don't know if he's rich. Do like war captains? I mean, he must be rich if he just like is like bumming
Yeah.
it in Egypt.
I like
I
how
don't know. I think I have something to.
I like how they like find him like in the middle of the desert under an umbrella with like no one else around, just like waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, I feel like he's like an eccentric, rich war veteran who I could probably like benefit
Yeah.
somehow from taking advantage of, which makes I'm a bad person. But I'll marry him. I'm gonna fuck O'Connell, and I'm just gonna kill Imhotep straight up from the beginning, so that nothing gets cursed.
Fair.
Right as soon as this bitch kills herself and is like, you can bring me back, right? No sweat. And he's like, sure. And she knifes herself, then I would just knife him.
That's a good call.
And then, or maybe even before she kills herself, I'll just knife him and then I'll be like, girl, like, let's go over drinks, talk about how you need to reevaluate your priorities
Yeah.
here. And like, do you need a blanket? Like,
Can we get, like, at least a shawl for you? That's
Yeah.
good. And so what are you gonna eat and drink with this?
Okay, so like I'm literally so dumb. And I was like in my head, I was like, okay, mummies, mummification, the preservation of a body involves sort of a fermentation process. And then I was like, what alcohol is fermented? And then I was
All
like,
of
wait,
it.
all of it. Like literally all of it. And then I was like, because literally my note was like, fermented alcohol, ... What are my options? And I was like, all of them. Literally all of them. But so, I think if you want to get, like, extra fermentation-y about it, use kombucha as your mixer.
Love that.
So, I don't really care for, like, the hard kombuchas, like, the sort of, like, seltzer-adjacent hard kombuchas, but I do like using regular kombucha as a mixer, like, you just put vodka in a kombucha, because for some reason they, like, the bad aftertastes neutralize each other out, and it ends up just being, like, super drinkable. So I think some sort of, like, kombucha-based fun mixed drink to lean into the fermentation of it all. And then as far as foods, if you wanted to get into, like, pickles, or, like, maybe, like, a pickled onion. I feel like we literally said something about, like, this in a previous episode, so maybe I'm just being repetitive. But also, this movie just kind of makes me want to eat a graham cracker, because everything is, like, sandy. So just, like, I don't know, like, graham crackers with peanut butter.
Fair enough. I went a little more, a little harder than graham crackers. So instead of thinking sand, this movie gives me bones. Everyone's bones. Which we've definitely kind of used this in a way adjacent to bones before, but I think you get like some sort of wing. I'd say like a honey soy garlic wing sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's a little zesty, a little spicy, just like this movie. And
Yes. It's gonna make me sweat a little.
And for a drink, this movie also reminds me of The Bugs. It's a bug movie as well. Those beetles are always around. But, so I was like, okay, it sort of got me on the tangent of, like, do you remember those, like, scorpion lollipops that, like, people had and all that? You could also get those, but, like, I was thinking for a drink, you know how there's those tequilas that have a worm in it? Mezcal.
Yeah, mezcal.
So you get, like, a mezcal or anything like that, and you make, it's like a classic 20s drink, is, like, make it, like, a sour, like a tequila sour with it, because it's very, like, with the times, it's very easy, very simple, everything like that, but you also got the worm element, so.
There's, like, a thing about how if you
like,
eat
trip.
the worm that's at the bottom, it's supposed to, like, make you trip. And so I think my father-in-law, like, always tells the story about how, like, him and his friends, like, they had, like, nips of them, I guess, and there was, like, the worm at the bottom, so they wanted to save all the worms to, like, eat all the worms at once, but really they were just, like, fucked up because they'd been ripping mezcal nips. So they were like, the worms are working, but really it was just, like, they had just drank a lot of mezcal. So, yeah, by the time you get to the bottom of mezcal, regardless of whether you eat the worm or not, you will be fucked.
Yeah, you're hammered. And what are you following this movie up with?
So, I think there's some very obvious paths to take.
Okay.
Like, I watched this movie with Henry, and he made the really great observation of, like, if you told somebody to, like, recap the plot of Indiana Jones, but, like, they hadn't watched Indiana Jones in 10 years, then maybe they would describe the plot to The Mummy. Like, it's like somebody really poorly recapping, like, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
And so I really feel that. And it is very similar, like, archaeologist doing action-adventure. So you can always go Indiana Jones. I also feel very National Treasure.
Yeah,
like,
I knew you were going to say
the
National Treasure.
You've got the treasure hunters versus the people doing it for education, both going after the same thing at the same time, you know. So obviously there's the National Treasure of it all. And then mostly, though, I'm going to recommend a movie that we've covered on this podcast, which is the live-action Scooby-Doo. Because the CGI of this feels very similar. I was like, this is, like, the CGI in Scooby-Doo. This is like when their souls get like
Sucked out
of their body and like bounced around. It was very much giving that. And then you also have the whole like they're on the tropical island and they're like fucking with an ancient culture plot line as well with that one. So I think you should go watch the live action Scooby-Doo and then go listen to our episode that we did about it. Self-plug.
That's a really good one. I like that a lot better than mine. Because like I said before, it's like a 60-40 split of all the times that I like action movies, and I'm gonna tell you to watch one that I really enjoy, which is Troy. It's, I don't know what, 2000 something, I'm not sure what timeline it is, but it's like everyone similarly to this movie, everyone is so sexy. It's Brad Pitt, Orlando Bloom, like Sean Bean is in it, and like Brian Cox as well, who I just adore. But like it's one of those
I've never
things,
seen this movie.
it's literally, it's all about Troy and all that stuff, but like in the way that like this movie is like talking about like an ancient culture and everything like that, I'm like, okay, I want to go and like watch a movie about like an actual one and everything like that. I just love the action in it. It's more sword fighting and all that stuff, but
Interesting. I'll have to give it... I've never even heard of it. I'll have to check it out.
yeah. And what would you rate this?
I'm gonna give it a 6. It's, like, fun, but I really wouldn't, like, watch it again. I think I was pretty drunk when I watched it, which made it kind of fun, and I think if, like, you know, a non-consequential movie to just, like, put on for people to passively watch, definitely good for that. But as far as, like, actually what it's bringing to the table, it's just, like, hot people romping around, which is great, and that's the 6 of it. But otherwise, I wouldn't really see myself, like, returning to this on my own as, like, I love it. But again, maybe it's just because this was the first time I ever watched it. But it was a lot of fun, so.
See, I really enjoyed this movie. I had a good time with it. So I'm gonna give it a 7, I think. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, honestly. And I thought the pacing was really good, personally. Like, I don't mind a drawn-out action sequence, especially, like, if it's, like, this kind of, like, fun little hijinks action sequence. So yeah, soft 7.
Nice. And shouts out to all the people who recommended that we cover this one, and then also last week we're doing the ultimate bi fantasy movie. Take a guess. And I think we had a couple people slide into the DMs and be like, obviously you're covering The Mummy, and we were like,
Yeah.
Yes. Like, yes, we couldn't have been less obvious about it. So, shouts out to everyone on that front. And also, thank you to everyone who submitted your queer sexual awakening suggestions for this month. We had a lot of fun with it. Happy Pride, as always. And I don't think we've decided what we're doing next month. So, it's still up in the air. So, send us your suggestions, as always, for themes, movie suggestions, just like thoughts. Just send me what you're thinking about, movie-wise, or just otherwise in general. Chocolate or vanilla ideas and themes are also always appreciated by both us and Jen. And yeah, just drop us a line, say hi, what's up. All of our information is in the description below, as well as we're like reevaluating our YouTube situation because we like didn't properly have the equipment to like make that happen when we were trying to. So we're not putting up as much visual content as we had intended to, but hopefully we'll be getting like nicer cameras so that we can start doing that in the future. So go subscribe for when that happens, and then also our merch and our website and all that good stuff. Like I've said in the past, even if you don't like buy anything, even if you just like click on shit, that still like is helpful, you know. Or like same thing with social media. Even if I don't know, just click on shit. If you want to scroll through our shit to give us better listings, I guess, if you feel so inclined. But as always, thank you so much for listening. Signing off. Goodbye and good night.